Title: Chapter 2. The weight of knowing research corrodes normal life. Knowledge isolates him socially and internally. Growth, awareness, burden. Have you ever wondered what happens when you finally get the answers you've been desperately seeking, only to discover they're heavier than the questions themselves? Well, today we're diving deep into something that affects more people than you might think, but nobody talks about it. Hold it steady while I explain this. The moment when awareness transforms into burden isn't just some philosophical concept. It's real. It's happening to millions of people right now, and chances are it might be happening to you too. Now, we're going to give you some fresh perspective on this. Here's what most people don't realize about knowledge and research. When you start digging deeper into any subject, whether it's health, politics, relationships, or even something as simple as the food you eat, something strange begins to happen. The more you learn, the more isolated you become from everyone around you. This is your wake-up call. Don't drop your guard here, because what I'm about to share will change how you see everything. The transformation from blissful ignorance to burdened awareness doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that creeps up on you like shadows at sunset. We want you to understand this progression clearly. Picture someone who decides to research nutrition. They start simple, maybe looking up healthy recipes online, but then they discover processed foods contain chemicals they can't pronounce. They learn about factory farming, pesticides, and food additives. Suddenly, every trip to the grocery store becomes a minefield of ethical dilemmas and health concerns. The awakening will be uncomfortable for many of you. That person can no longer enjoy a simple meal without analyzing every ingredient. Their friends think they're being dramatic when they read labels obsessively. Family gatherings become tense when they politely decline dishes they once loved. The knowledge that was supposed to empower them has instead created a barrier between them and normal social experiences. Your calculations about how learning works are probably wrong. Come on, think about it differently. We're taught that knowledge equals power, that education sets us free, but nobody warns us about the weight that comes with seeing behind the curtain. Nobody mentions that once you know something, you can't unknow it. The burden is coming for those who seek truth. That's the reality most educators won't tell you. Your comfortable worldview starts cracking the moment you begin asking deeper questions. Whether it's discovering how your favorite products are made, learning about historical events that were sanitized in textbooks, or understanding the mechanisms behind systems you once trusted blindly. You've been caught in the trap of thinking more information always leads to better living. But here's what actually happens. The researcher becomes increasingly aware of problems they cannot solve, injustices they cannot fix, and realities they cannot change. This awareness doesn't come with superpowers or the ability to influence outcomes. It just comes with the heavy knowledge of how things really work. Stop believing that ignorance isn't bliss sometimes. Wild discoveries about your world can leave you feeling more helpless than empowered. The person who researches climate change data extensively doesn't just become environmentally conscious. They become acutely aware of the magnitude of problems facing our planet, often leading to anxiety and despair when they realize how little their individual actions matter in the grand scheme. Give me your attention for this next part. Social isolation begins subtly at first. Your conversations with friends and family start feeling shallow when they discuss topics you've researched deeply. You want to share what you've learned, but you quickly discover that people don't always want their comfortable assumptions challenged. They prefer their simplified versions of complex issues. He's right behind you with this burden every single day. The weight of knowing follows the researcher everywhere. They can't watch the news without recognizing the spin and manipulation. They can't enjoy entertainment without noticing the underlying messages and agendas. They can't participate in casual conversations without internal conflict about whether to speak up or stay quiet. This transformation changes how you see everyone around you. The people who remain blissfully unaware start to seem either willfully ignorant, or simply unprepared to handle difficult truths. Neither perspective feels good to hold. You begin to feel like you're living in two different worlds simultaneously. Surrender to the fact that knowledge creates responsibility. Once you understand a problem exists, you feel obligated to do something about it. But most problems are systemic, complex, and beyond any individual's power to solve. This creates a constant tension between awareness and helplessness. Oh no, the comfortable relationships you once enjoyed start shifting. Friends might label you as negative, paranoid, or obsessive. They don't understand that you're not trying to be difficult. You're simply unable to participate in conversations and activities the same way you used to. The knowledge has changed your entire perspective on what matters and what doesn't. Enjoy this moment of understanding because it gets more complicated. The researcher often finds themselves in a peculiar position where they know enough to see problems clearly, but not enough to propose viable solutions. They become critics by default, pointing out issues without being able to offer fixes that others find acceptable or realistic. You down there struggling with this weight, know that you're not alone. Walk straighter through this challenge because millions of others are carrying similar burdens. The internet age has accelerated this process dramatically. Information that once took years of study to uncover is now available with a few clicks. The timeline from ignorance to overwhelming awareness has compressed from decades to months or even weeks. Stand still and consider what happens to relationships during this transition. The researcher begins to feel like they're speaking a different language than their loved ones. Simple disagreements become philosophical chasms. What started as curiosity about one topic branches into questioning everything, creating distance in relationships that were once effortless and natural. This will be an unforgettable journey for anyone who commits to deep learning. The path from comfortable ignorance to burdened awareness is irreversible. Once you've seen the interconnections between systems, the historical patterns that repeat, and the gaps between public narratives and private realities, there's no going back to simpler times. How did we end up here, in this strange position where knowledge becomes a burden rather than a blessing? The answer lies in how we've structured our society and our expectations about what learning should accomplish. We're taught to seek truth without being prepared for the psychological and social costs of finding it. We're not prepared for the loneliness that comes with seeing clearly. Quickly remove any expectations that awareness automatically leads to happiness or better relationships. The researcher often trades social comfort for intellectual integrity, and this trade-off affects every aspect of their daily life. Going to be a lot more challenging than you expected. The weight doesn't just affect the researcher's social connections, it seeps into their internal world, creating a constant background noise of concern and awareness that never quite goes away. You are now carrying information that feels both precious and poisonous at the same time. Get rid of the notion that this burden affects everyone equally. How much knowledge can one person handle before it starts corroding their ability to function normally? Some researchers develop what psychologists call analysis paralysis. They become so aware of potential problems and complications that making simple decisions becomes overwhelming. Watch out for the moment when research stops being empowering and starts becoming compulsive. It grabs hold of you in ways you didn't anticipate. The need to understand everything, to verify every claim, to dig deeper into every rabbit hole becomes an addiction that's hard to break. Sleep suffers as your mind races through all the disturbing information you've absorbed during the day. You have no right to remain comfortable once you've opened these doors. Let us examine what happens to the researcher's mental space. Their thoughts become crowded with statistics, studies, historical precedents, and interconnected theories that most people never encounter. This cognitive load creates a different kind of exhaustion than physical tiredness. Go for a walk through any normal day as a heavily researched individual. Every advertisement becomes a study in manipulation techniques. Every news story gets filtered through your understanding of media ownership and bias. Every product purchase requires weighing ethical implications that others never consider. The simple act of living becomes complicated by layers of awareness that feel impossible to ignore. We are not designed to carry this much information about problems we cannot directly influence. Don't expect your brain to handle unlimited awareness without consequences. The human psyche evolved to deal with immediate, local concerns. But modern research capabilities expose us to global problems, historical traumas, and systemic issues that our ancestors never had to process. Hurry up and understand this before it's too late. We're witnessing a generation of people who know more about what's wrong with the world than any previous generation in human history. This knowledge comes without corresponding increases in personal power or ability to create change. The gap between awareness and agency creates a unique form of psychological stress. We didn't deserve to inherit this much complicated information without better tools for processing it. The jungle of modern knowledge is vast and largely unmapped. Most educational systems teach information gathering, but not information management or emotional resilience in the face of disturbing truths. Welcome to the reality that many researchers eventually face. Isolation becomes both a consequence of their knowledge and a necessary coping mechanism. They retreat from social situations that feel superficial or frustrating. They spend more time alone, diving deeper into their research, which only compounds the problem. Get to work understanding how this affects family relationships specifically. The researcher's spouse might feel abandoned or criticized when simple lifestyle choices become subjects of intense scrutiny. Children might grow up feeling confused about why their parent seems worried about things that other families ignore completely. Bye to your old social circle if they can't adapt to your new perspective. It's not intentional cruelty, but friendships often can't survive the transformation from casual awareness to deep research obsession. The researcher finds themselves gravitating toward others who share their level of concern and investigation, creating echo chambers of highly informed but often anxious individuals. Why are you standing around pretending this doesn't affect your daily happiness? The burden of knowledge creates a persistent low-level anxiety that colors everything. Even moments of joy get tinged with awareness of larger problems lurking in the background. Celebrations feel hollow when you understand the costs hidden behind the festivities. Stand still while we examine the internal dialogue of the heavily researched person. Their mind becomes a battlefield between wanting to warn others and knowing that most people don't want to hear disturbing information. They wrestle with questions about responsibility, about whether staying silent makes them complicit in others' ignorance. You're a different person now, carrying information that has fundamentally altered your worldview. Time to acknowledge that this transformation affects your relationship with hope itself. The researcher often struggles with cynicism, not because they want to be negative, but because they've seen too many examples of how things really work behind the scenes. Stop laughing at the idea that knowledge always improves life quality. It's not funny when you realize that some information actively decreases peace of mind without providing practical solutions. The researcher becomes a reluctant keeper of uncomfortable truths, unable to share them freely, but unable to forget them either. Enough games with pretending that research is always beneficial. The hunting season has begun for those who seek deeper understanding, and today the prey is their own peace of mind. Every new piece of disturbing information becomes another weight added to an already heavy load. Sleep becomes elusive when your mind is populated with statistics about suffering, environmental destruction, social manipulation, and systemic failures. The awakening that started as curiosity has become a relentless awareness that intrudes on rest and relaxation. Take your comfortable assumptions away from here. This wasn't designed to be easy for anyone who chooses the path of deep investigation. The researcher learns to live with a constant tension between their desire to understand and their need for psychological peace. Your drink is ready, but it tastes different now that you know how it was made, where the ingredients came from, and what impact its production had on workers and environment. What do you think you're doing when you try to return to blissful ignorance after crossing this threshold? We will be carrying this knowledge whether we want to or not. No amount of wishing can undo the awareness once it's been gained. The researcher must learn to function with this weight, to find ways of processing and managing information that doesn't destroy their ability to find meaning and joy in daily life. So there you have it. The weight of knowing isn't just some abstract concept that affects a few unfortunate researchers. It's a real transformation that millions of people experience as they dig deeper into the world around them. We've seen how awareness becomes burden, how knowledge creates isolation, and how the very information that was supposed to set us free can instead trap us in a prison of uncomfortable truths. Remember what we covered today. The researcher trades social comfort for intellectual integrity. They sacrifice the ease of ignorance for the responsibility that comes with understanding. Their relationships change, their internal world becomes crowded with disturbing realities, and their ability to find simple joy gets complicated by layers of awareness that can't be ignored. This isn't about discouraging curiosity or promoting willful ignorance. It's about recognizing that the path from comfortable assumptions to deep understanding comes with real costs that nobody warns you about. The burden is real, the isolation is genuine, and the psychological weight can be overwhelming. But here's what you need to know. You're not alone in carrying this weight. Millions of others are walking this same difficult path, struggling with the same tensions between awareness and peace of mind. Understanding that this is a shared human experience can help ease some of the loneliness that comes with seeing clearly. The question isn't whether you should seek knowledge or remain ignorant. The question is whether you're prepared for what that knowledge will cost you, and whether you have the tools to carry it without letting it destroy your ability to function and find meaning in life.